Alright, so just like I was talking to you about in the previous videos, I'm going to show you exactly how I want you to train a brand new student who's in the yard for their first time. Now, the first thing that we're going to be teaching a student is how to do a proper pre-trip inspection. And the first color of the pre-trip inspection we're going to go over is in the green. So this is our student today. This is going to be his first day in the yard. Before we even start teaching the student anything, make sure that they have already done this pre-trip inspection script. Alright, so this is extremely important that they do that. So once we know that they've done the script, now we're going to simply explain, okay sir, we're going to be going over the green section first. This green section is all about items underneath the hood. Alright, so in order for us to inspect these items, we must first open up the hood. So let me show you the proper way to how to open up the hood. So, a hood's going to have a latch on each side, just like so. Alright, every latch on each hood is going to be a little bit different. But simply you just figure out how to unlatch it on both sides. Make sure it's unlatched on that side too. So we're going to come over here. It's also unlatched on this side as well. Okay, so now we're free, and now it's time to open up the hood. So, what I want you to do, are you strong?
Yes, sir.
Alright, cool. I want you to put one foot here, one hand or two hands here, and pull back. So as you notice, I'm having him open up the hood. This has given him more experience, and it's also teaching him things right from the beginning. Like I told you guys, it's all about making sure the student's working. The more the student does, the easier and quicker the student learns. Alright, so now that the hood is open, let's start off with the inspection. We're going to start off on the driver's side of the vehicle. So, the first thing that we're going to go over is we're just going to follow the script just as it was designed. There's no need to make it more complicated than that. So you're simply going to ask the student this. So what's the first thing in green, please?
Leaks and hoses.
Leaks and hoses, okay? Leaks and hoses, we're talking about we're looking at this side of the engine itself, okay? What do we have to say for leaks and hoses?
You gotta say there's no puddles on the ground, no dripping fluids on underside of my engine and transmission, and then we inspect our hoses for conditions and leaks.
Perfect. So that's exactly word for word from the paper, and that's what you're gonna have to say for the test. So for the test, you're gonna say, okay, I don't see any puddles on the ground. There is no dripping fluid on the underside of the engine or transmission. And all my hoses, in this case all your hoses and stuff on the side, are in good condition and not leaking. Alright? So if you noticed, all I did was I made sure that he read it, that he understood what he was talking about, and I just reiterated it one time for him using the same exact words from the book. I'm not going to deviate from the book at all, because anything else but the book, you're going to cause a student to fail, and we don't want any students failing. Alright? So, next thing in the green is
oil level.
Okay, read what it says under oil level.
Indicate where dipstick is located. Check that oil level is within safe operating range. Level must be above refill mark.
Cool. So now we're going to indicate the dipstick. Right here is your oil level dipstick on this truck in particular. Alright, so now if this was a test, what would we have to say?
That it's above the refill mark and it's within safe operating range.
Cool. Now, just so your guys' knowledge, you do not have to pull the dipstick out. The student's going to ask you over and over again that simple question. The answer is no. All you have to do is you point and you say the words exactly the way they're in the book. Alright? Next thing in the green, please.
Is your coolant level.
Coolant level, okay? The coolant level is not on this side, so we're going to follow me to the other side of the truck. Alright. So, the next thing in the page was what?
Your coolant level.
Alright, so this right here is your coolant level. What do you have to say about your coolant level?
Inspect reservoir sight glass, or if engine is not hot, remove radiator cap and check for visible coolant level.
Good. So that's pretty much what you're going to do. I'm going to inspect my reservoir sight glass, which is this piece right here. If the engine was not hot, which the engine is going to be hot for the test, so you're never going to remove the cap, okay? But even whether you're going to remove it or not, you must still say that because it's in the book, alright? And you would say, I would remove the cap and check for visible coolant level from the top, alright? So next thing there is
power steering fluid.
Okay, so again, our power steering fluid is not on this side, so we're going to keep along with the book itself and move back to the other side of the truck. So, right, power steering fluid, like you said, here it is. What do we have to say about it?
Indicate where power steering fluid dipstick is located. Check for adequate power steering fluid level. Level must be above refill mark.
Perfect, so just like the book, alright? Now, what we're going to be doing is I want you to read everything where it says from engine compartment belts to where it says safe start out loud, please.
Okay. It says check the following belts for snugness. Up to 3/4 inch of play at the center of the belt. Cracks or frays. If any components...
Read all these 4 items too.
Your power steering, your water pump, alternator belt, and air compressor. If any of the components listed above are not belt driven, you must tell the examiner which components are not belt driven. Make sure components are operating properly and not damaged or leaking and are mounted securely.
Okay, cool. So pretty much what that went over is that went over the 4 components that we must talk about inside the truck, inside the engine itself, okay? So those components are power steering, pump, water pump, alternator, and your air compressor. Now what this is saying is, first you're going to have to distinguish whether it's belt driven or gear driven. Secondly, you're going to have to go and inspect the component itself so it's operating properly, not damaged or leaking, and mounted securely. And then third, if it is belt driven, we must also check the belts for snugness, no more than 3/4 inch of play, no cracks or frays. Okay? So let's see your knowledge. What is on this side of the truck?
I have my engine oil, my power steering fluid, my air compressor, and my power steering pump.
Alright, so when it comes to these 4 items over here, your air compressor. Point out your air compressor, please.
I don't believe we can see it.
Good. So the air compressor on this truck, you're not going to be able to see it, but you still point to it, okay? So the air compressor is always going to be on the driver's side in the back where you cannot see it. All you do is you point and you still talk about it. So if we're inspecting the air compressor, what do we have to say about the air compressor?
That it's gear driven, it's operating properly, not damaged or leaking, and it's mounted securely.
Good. That's all we have to say. Alright. Alternator is also on this side as well. So the alternator is tough to see, but it's behind all these items. Now, depending on the truck that you guys are inspecting, depends on where these items are. They can look a little bit different. They can be in different parts of the truck itself, but the process is exactly the same. Our job is to point out the item. Their job is to read the book. Okay, so over here, you're going to have your alternator. You're going to say, what about the alternator?
My alternator is belt driven. The snugness is up to 3/4 inch of play at the center of the belt. It's not cracked or frayed. It's mounted securely, operating properly, and not damaged or leaking.
Cool. One thing that I would do, I would talk about the alternator first and then talk about the belt second. So my alternator is operating properly, not damaged or leaking, mounted securely, and then my alternator belt has no more than 3/4 inch play, no cracks or frays. Okay. Alright? And do we have any other engine components on this side?
The power steering pump?
Where is that?
Follow that hose. I don't think we'll be able to see it.
Correct. So the power steering pump is also another item that we cannot see on this truck in particular. It's going to be behind this frame. We cannot see it, so all we do is point. This is also going to be gear driven on this in particular truck here. So what do you have to say?
My power steering pump is gear driven, is mounted securely, operating properly, and is not damaged or leaking.
Good. Now because we don't have to talk about the belt, right?
No, sir.
Why?
Because it's not belt driven, it's gear driven.
Perfect. So pretty much how do you distinguish between one and the other? You guys should already know. But if there's no belt attached to the item, that means it's gear driven. That means it's not belt driven. Okay? Now we have one more item that we have to check, and that's the water pump, which is going to be on the other side.
Okay.
Alright, so you're going to follow me to the other side for the water pump. Alright, so water pump on this truck is also going to be hidden behind these poles, behind these pipes, I'm sorry. And it's going to be back there. It's also going to be gear driven, okay? So what do you have to say about the water pump?
My water pump is gear driven, it's operating properly, not damaged or leaking, and is also mounted securely.
Perfect. So that's pretty much everything on the green on this page. Do you have any questions so far?
No, sir.
Alright, so on this vehicle, we've covered everything on this side. So let's just do a quick recap on this side itself. So what is this?
Your coolant level.
Good. What's inside there?
Your water pump.
Good. Do we have anything else on this side? No, that's it. So on this truck in particular, we only have 2 items on the passenger side of the engine. So after we've completed this part, we want to make sure that they understand where the items are. Because like I said in the previous video, it's our job to show them where the items are. It's their job to know exactly what to say about the items. Alright? So if you turn to 11.3, we're going to have 2 more green items on the other side. Alright, so the next thing in the green is?
Steering box and hoses.
Good. So what do we have to say about the steering box?
The steering box is securely mounted not leaking. We're going to look for any missing nuts, bolts, and cotter keys, and check the power steering fluid leaks or damages to the power steering hoses.
Good. So right here is going to be your steering box, okay? So that's what you'd have to say about this itself. Next thing and last thing in the green is going to be steering linkage.
Yeah, steering linkage.
So the linkage consists of 3 different parts. You're going to have your arm, your link, and then your tie rod is in the bottom there that you cannot really see, okay? So what do we have to say about your steering linkage?
See that connecting links, arms, and rods from the steering box wheel are not worn or cracked. Check that joints and sockets are not worn and loose, and also there are no missing nuts, bolts, or cotter keys.
Good. So my arm, link, and rod are not worn or cracked. Joints and sockets are not worn or loose. There are no missing nuts, bolts, or cotter keys. Now for your guys' information, cotter keys are found where they connect on the joint itself, okay? So that's pretty much everything in the green, all right? We have a little bit, I think we have like 11 items total. So let's go over the items on this side to make sure you at least know where the items are, okay? So what is this right here?
Your power steering fluid.
Good. What is this?
Your engine oil.
What is this?
Your steering box and hoses.
What is this?
Your steering linkage.
Good. And what's inside there?
Power steering, alternator.
Alternator, very good. What's back there?
Air compressor.
Good. And what's behind the frame?
Your power steering pump.
Very good. All right, so you now know all the items, yes?
Yes.
Do you have any questions on where the items are?
No, sir.
All right, so now I'm going to leave you alone for 10 to 20 minutes. You're going to review this. I want you to make sure that you do not forget where the items are. If you have any questions, I'll be back in about 10 minutes to answer any questions that you do have, but I want you to start studying this, okay? So this is one of the hardest part of the test itself. You have to really take this thing seriously and make sure you put time into it, all right?
Okay.
Sounds good. So I'm going to, now, like I said, we're going to leave him for about 10 to 20 minutes. This is a time where you as an instructor can go to another student, check up on another student, make sure that he at least knows where all the items are inside the vehicle itself that we just talked about. We're going to leave after 10 or 20 minutes. We're going to come on back and then we're going to test him again. Alright, so 10 minutes has now passed. I'm now back to check up on the student itself. Have you been studying?
Yes, sir.
Very good. Do you have any questions to start off first of all?
No, sir.
Perfect. So now we're just going to give you a quick little quiz to make sure you understand that you're on the right page. Of course, it's your first day. I don't expect you to memorize everything within 10-20 minutes. It's going to take a lot of time, but at least we're going to get a good foundation here. Alright? So, tell me, what is this thing again?
That is your steering box.
Steering box. Okay. What do we have to say about the steering box?
That is mounted securely and not leaking. No missing nuts, bolts, or cotter keys, and there's no fluid leaks or damage coming from our power steering hoses.
Very good. You learned all that in 10 minutes?
Yes, sir.
My man. Very good. What is this right here?
That is your engine oil.
What do we have to say?
You have to indicate the dipstick. It's above the say that it's above the refill mark and within safe operating range.
Very good. And what is this?
Your power steering fluid. Indicate the dipstick. Show that it's above the refill mark and it's at adequate fluid level.
Very good. All right. So you just do that same thing for each item that's in the green only, because we're only focusing on the green. Of course, Mr. Wells over here, he picks up much quicker than most. Most people would be fumbling up on his words, and then what we would have to do is just make sure that we correct them as we're going through it. All right. But that's pretty much exactly how I want you guys to do the entire inspection. That is just the green portion of it. If you remember, we want to make sure that they understand where the items are and where to see these items on the paper itself. If they know where the items are, they know what to say about the items, there is no excuse why they should fail. All right. Now, once we make sure that we give them the foundation that they need, we then walk away, like I said, for 10-20 minutes to help out another student, and come on back and hold them accountable for what you asked them to do. All right. On the next video, you're going to see us inspecting a different part of the truck as well.